The EASE product range is a hands-on teaching system that has been developed to teach the basic principles of mathematics with the use of shape, colour and size. The products are colourful, tactile and fun for children to handle. We believe children will both enjoy and learn through the use of our well-structured aids, and they will develop an understanding of mathematical concepts in a practical and meaningful way. The first product in the EASE range is the counting 1 to 5. This demonstrates the idea of the number 1 with the 1 symbol, 2 with 2, 3 with 3, 4 with 4, 5 with 5. Straight off it introduces the concept of size. So for example, the child can see that the 1 star fits completely in your hand while the 5 doesn't. Also then they can see basic addition, like for example 3 and 2 is equal to 5, and the same way they can identify that 4 is greater than 3. The next product in the EASE range is the counting 1 to 10. This follows on from the 1 to 5 but introduces larger numbers such as 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 with the appropriate number of symbols. Here we can start to explore with more difficult problems, for example 4 and for example 5 is obviously greater than 7, but the child can see that 4 plus 1, 2, 3 is equal to 7. Again, if you get into the larger numbers you can start to see things like for example 7 and 2 and so forth. And this then can be used with the next item, which is our box of blocks. Next product we're going to introduce in the system is the box of symbol rods. This box comes with 100 rods, which is made up of 10 of each of the numbers 1 to 10. Now what's great about the rods is you can start to see by having extra numbers. For example, we have a 2 symbol, then we go with another 2 symbol, and then we have another 2 symbol. So we can start to see that 3 2s make 6. The same way, for example, we can see by having the extra 3 rods, how many 3s will make 6. And this idea then can be carried forth with the baseboards with lots of different combinations. Here we have the EASE story of numbers. This is the next step following through from our 1 to 10, whereby we show that the symbols have been replaced by the number rod, but the same colour is carried through. First of all, in the story of numbers, we can see the combinations that make 10, 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 6. It also demonstrates the idea of the squares underneath. So we have, for example, if we go with a 1 and a 5, and then we're left with 4 squares, so we can see a 1, a 5 and a 4 is equal to 10 as such. Now what's really nice about this product is that we can now progress from our story of 10 to demonstrate our story of 9. So for example, we have 1 and 8, 2 and 7, 3 and 6 and 4 forth to do 9. And the same concept then is carried through where we do our story of 8. Again, same idea, 2 4s make 8, and again they can see the 4 squares. But now if we take, for example, in our story of 7, we can start to show some interesting properties in relation to number, whereby the child can see things like 3 and 4 make 7, which is the same as 4 and 3. Introducing your commutative and associative property of number, where you have 1, 2 and 4 make 7 is the same as 4, 2 and 1. There's also lots of uses with the story number just with the baseboard itself. We can start to see simple things like, for example, 2 3s cover 6 squares, and also then we can see, for example, the 6 rod covers 6 squares, and then the child can see from an area point of view that 2 3s are equal to 6. The EASE number line introduces number up as far as 20. It comes with 20 unit blocks, and these can be very helpful for simple counting such as 1 plus 1 is 2, or for example 2 plus 4 units is 6. Now what's particularly nice about the product is it's also used in conjunction with the EASE number rods. So for example we have 5 plus 4 is 9, 9 plus 6 is 15, and again we can see simple subtraction. For example, 15 minus 5 is 10. Now we have the EASE number line from 21 to 40. This is simply an extension of the number line and can be used in conjunction with the number line 1 to 20, where the child can now start to progress with numbers up as far as 40. Now we introduce the EASE box of number blocks. This box contains 10 of each of the numbers, so 100 blocks in total, and it's fantastic for the use with the baseboards. So for example, just to show some simple ideas, here we can see 3 4s can be used to cover off 12 squares, and the same way we can see, for example, 4 3s cover off 12 squares. And the child can start to realise that area-wise 4 3s is the same as 3 4s. Now again, with the number line, we can show the same idea, but in simple addition, where we have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12, and also then we see the multiplication, 4 3s are 12. Again, we can see 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, so they can see that 3 4s are 12. Now there's lots of different uses, so we would strongly recommend the idea of the blocks and a variety of baseboards within the classroom environment. And then these are all backed up with a series of teachers' notes which give lots of ideas and concepts on how best the product can be used. The ease fraction board introduces the concept of the fractions of a unit. So we can see here we have 2 halves, 4 quarters, 8 eighths, 5 fifths, and so forth. What's nice about the product is that the child can very simply see, for example, a half and 2 quarters is equal to a unit. And the same way, for example, a half, a quarter, and a third is bigger than a unit. Again, based on the idea of size, it shows a relationship whereby a tenth is obviously much smaller than a unit, for example. The decimal set introduces the idea of the decimals in relation to a unit, where we have 0.5, 0.25, 0.125, 0.2, and so forth. Again, the idea, like the fractions, is we can show the breakdown of a unit. So for example, a 0.5 and 2 0.25s will make a unit. Again, based on size, we can see 0.1 in relation to 0.5 is much smaller, therefore 0.5 of something is greater than 0.1 of something. The ease percentage boards again introduce the idea of the breakdown of a unit in percentage format. So we have a unit, 2 50%, 4 25%, a 12.5%, and so forth. Again, the idea here is the child can see, for example, that 50% of something is going to be greater than 33.33% based on size. In relation to the application, we can see different options that will make a unit, such as 50 and 25 and 2 12.5% are equal to a unit. Here we have the ease fraction, decimal and percentage board. The 3 boards are interchangeable, and the child can see very easily that a half, for example, is the same as 0.5 is the same as 50%. And again, they can physically move around and see, for example, that a half and 50% is equal to a unit. And the same way, for example, if we take a 0.5, it's greater than a fifth, for example. Here we have the ease multiplication table. This follows through with the same colour code as the number block. So for example, the 4 being green is carried through in our 4 rod. Now with the board itself, initially we have multiplication by use of colour. So for example, 2 2s, 1 2, 2 2s is 4, being yellow with yellow. The same way we can see, for example, 3 4s, 1 2, 3 4s are 12, which is orange with orange. That can be demonstrated, for example, 3 8s are 24. Now if we show, for example, let's say everywhere we see a 12 and cover it off with the appropriate colour, we can start to experiment with all the different multiples that will make 12. So for example, here we can start to see how 12 1s make 12, 6 2s make 12, 4 3s, 3 4s, 2 6s and 1 12. The rods themselves have an endless amount of use, so we see our, for example, factors of 3, 3 6 9 12, and again we see our factors of 4, 4 8 12. If we place them side by side, we can see in the lowest common multiple can be demonstrated. So in this case, between 3 and 4, the first number is common is 12. And even if we introduce 3 numbers, such as 3, 4 and 6, we can see the same idea, whereby 12 again is the lowest common multiple. Finally then, with the baseboard, we have the grid, multiplication grid underneath. So now we have multiplication without the use of colour. So we have 3 4s are 1 2 3 12, And the same way, for example, we have 7 sevens are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sevens are 49. But the fact that there's no colour, hopefully the child would have understood the initial concept of basic multiplication. The Ease Abacus introduces the concept of units, tens, hundreds and thousands. The product is designed in such a way that while we have our tenth unit, in this case we can see 9 units plus our tenth, but the tenth actually doesn't fit in. So the idea is that the 10 units are simply taken out and they need to be replaced by, for example, 1 10 in our tens column. And again, the same idea, 9 tens plus your extra tenth, which makes 10 tens, would be replaced by 100. Also with the abacus, we can start to show simple place values. So for example, if we have, let's say, a number made up of 2 units, 5 tens, 4 hundredths and 4 thousands, so 4,452. And if we add, for example, 122, so we have 2 units, 20 will be made up of 2 tens and an extra 100. We can now see that our new sum is 4 units, 7 tens, 5 hundredths and 4 thousands, which is 4,574. The Ease Abacus showing the decimal point introduces the idea of the tenths, hundredths and thousands of a unit, as well as your standard units, tens, hundredths and thousands. This can be helpful purely from encouraging the idea of the fractions of a unit to a single unit. So again, we have our 9 tenths plus our tenth, which won't fit in, and then we see how the 10 of those would simply be replaced by, for example, a single unit. Also then we can start to show more difficult problems, like for example, if we take a sum, like let's say we have 9 hundredths, 9 thousands, 2 tenths, decimal point, 3 units, 6 tens, 6 hundredths, 6,000. So 6,663.299 is made up as such. And then if we want to add, for example, 111.2, that's made up of 2 tenths, 1 unit, 110, 100, and now our new sum is 6,774.499.